Today is the middle of the NUS's Week of Action, a campaign aimed at promoting public debate and discussion about the future of higher education. At Bath, we believe that discussion is best promoted by talking to the people involved. So I'm joined today by our Vice Chancellor, Professor Dame Glynis Breakwell, to talk about a few of the issues, big and small. Good morning, Vice Chancellor.
Good morning.
First, a question from me. What do you see as the biggest consequences of the shelving of the Higher Education Bill?
One of the things that the bill was supposed to do was to introduce greater quality control for private providers. That is not going to be possible without the bill going forward. Some other way will need to be found to ensure that there is a flat playing field for all providers within higher education.
Okay. Now talking a little bit about Bath, perhaps the biggest problem we face here is space for teaching, for accommodation, for student activities. How is the university going to tackle this problem?
The university has been tackling that problem. There have been a major number of initiatives in the last 7 or 8 years. So we have increased the facilities available, but we will be doing that to a greater extent as we go forward. We have plans now for new residences, for further social and teaching spaces. It's very important to us that we continue the development of the infrastructure of the university.
The future of higher education and the discussions around that has been dominated by undergraduate issues for the last few years. But what do you see as the future for postgraduate students? Do you think £9,000 fees at an undergraduate level is going to lead to fewer researchers long term?
I think there is a risk that people will be put off continuing to postgraduate studies. But I think that that may be a temporary blip, and I think that people will recognise that in order to develop their careers strongly, then often postgraduate work is necessary, and they will not be deterred from continuing. But alongside that, we really do need a funding system that allows people to continue. I would very strongly advocate the introduction of some sort of loan system that would enable people to continue to postgraduate work. Having said that, there has been a really important move in the recent past because the Higher Education Funding Council for England has provided increasing funding for PhD students, although it's yet to be seen how that will be allocated across the different universities.
Well, that's all quite reassuring in some ways, providing the government does take the appropriate steps. The university has argued, like many others, that while tuition fees are going up, the amount of money actually available to universities is clearly going down in a time of cuts and austerity. In light of this, have you considered not taking your full salary in line with other kind of executives across the country in order to help save costs?
I think that my role in the university is to make sure that it's managed properly and that its financial future is assured. If you look at the financial health of this university, I don't think you'll find that it's necessary for me to supplement it through my own salary.
And I think everyone can be reassured that we're in a healthy position. You took part in the Shadowing project, which was a great experience for all involved. Does the university managers have any plans to do similar activities in the future?
I thought it was a great experience. I learnt a lot. Although I know it was very disruptive to some of the people who were in the class that I attended. I would like to do it in the future. I know that Professor Bernie Morley, who is the Pro-Vice Chancellor for Teaching and Learning, will be doing it on a regular basis, and I think it's a very healthy thing for us to be doing. Absolutely,
absolutely. Talking about a few kind of perhaps smaller, less of the future of higher education issues, schools up and down the country are introducing more and more technology into their classrooms. And the way that students are learning before they arrive is rapidly changing. What do you think the university will do to kind of meet the expectations that new students might have in that area?
It's interesting, you know, because we've been doing an enormous amount already. We will continue to improve the technological support structures for our teaching, but essentially there's a lot of change already been put in place. Most of our new developments are extraordinarily sophisticated in terms of their IT support. Not only in terms of the AV support for the teaching where a lecturer is present in the classroom, but also where people are gathering together in small groups to share information and to develop project work and so on. The facilities now are there in some places within the university. What I would like to see is that rolled out much more extensively. Extensively across the university. There's scope for doing some really quite exciting things in pedagogic terms through the use of technology. We should take advantage of what's happened in schools rather than trying to simply emulate. We need to go further.
You might have seen in the United States recently, there's been some discussions about the work that MIT are looking to do with kind of degrees by video. Yeah. Do you think that there's a future for that kind of thing in this country with this university or not?
I think that the use of those techniques to supplement the more traditional approaches is absolutely fantastic. Whether you could deliver everything through the use of those techniques, I would seriously doubt. But then it's interesting that MIT is trying, and I would love to see the results of their experiment.
Absolutely. The university is planning on expanding, if that is the case. What is the university going to do about securing housing for students, particularly in light of some of the things that are happening today, in fact, about housing in the city of Bath?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we do intend to build more residences on the campus itself. How many there will be over time, of course, it depends on the planning permission that we can get from our local authority. But certainly we will move into more than 1,000 going forward, new bedrooms. But we need to work with the local authority to ensure that the policies that they will introduce to control what they call studentification of particular areas, particular neighbourhoods, those policies really need to be sensible policies, not only for our student body, but also for the community itself. I think some of the policies that might be introduced would actually be detrimental to the economic prosperity of the community in which the university lives and contributes to so very, very extensively. We really need to work with them, and of course the university will make representations to ensure that the views of the university and of our student body are really listened to.
This is, now we have two questions about two of the really big pet peeves that students kind of have given to us. Has the university considered investing in a bus service to solve the transport problems that students face every morning?
I can safely say that we have considered investing in the bus service. We've done it on a regular basis. We've gone back over and over what we can do most effectively. And we don't really think that the university can run a bus service. And I know that the Students' Union has considered whether it can run a bus service, and it came to the conclusion that it couldn't. So we don't think that that is the way forward. What we do think is that we have to persevere in persuading those who are professional providers of these services to look at increasing the provision at peak times. We know why they don't want to do it, because it's very expensive for them to do that. But there has to be a way of squaring this circle, and it really is important, as you say, as we grow, and perhaps as our students are more dispersed around the city, if the local authorities' plans for changing the way in which housing can be distributed. If that occurs, then actually the transport issues are going to become much more significant.
Finally, can we have more cash machines on campus, please? Or if not, could the cash machines that we have more cash in? This was quite a common question, I have to say.
And I now understand the nature of that issue. I didn't realise it was a problem, but in conversation with the banks recently, I think one of the issues was that the cash machines were not giving £10 notes out, so that when a figure was requested that needed a multiple of 10 rather than £20 notes, then the machine simply said we can't actually service that request. So what they've now done is to agree to put £10 notes in as well as £20 notes, and I think we'll find that it's a lot easier. They've also said that they'll increase the actual frequency with which the money is replenished, so they have a better supply as well as this £10 problem. I think that it's worthwhile mentioning, though, that the post office will actually provide cash from most of the major banks, and people should be able to use that as well. And I would hope that in the near future we'll have a further cash point in the sports training village, because I think that's a really good place for people to go as well to use. So it's a quibble which I think actually we are on the way to solving.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And thank you for your time, Vice Chancellor.
My pleasure.
It looks like the debate about the future of higher education and everything about the university is going to continue for quite some time. And in a couple of weeks, we hope to be speaking to our local MP, Don Foster, about some of the broader issues raised here today.